Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Well, I'm not in my wreath room today. I've got most of my Christmas decorating done. I'm hoping to do a Christmas tour probably tomorrow. I'll start it tonight so I can get it with the lights on, and then I'll finish it up in the morning and after I have an appointment early, and we'll see if we can get that uploaded. But today I'm in the kitchen because it's that time of year when people stop in and want to say hi and spend a little time with you and wish you happy holidays and Merry Christmas. And you like to have a little something available when they stop in. Not to put on a meal or whatever, but like an hors d'oeuvre. But I don't like to make things like dips and things and just keep them in the refrigerator, because who knows when they're going to show up. People may show up. So I have a couple of hors d'oeuvres that you can make today and put them right in your freezer. And should you have company show up, you've got some hors d'oeuvres in the freezer you can take out, and within half an hour you've got a nice little plate to serve your guests. So I'm going to show you a couple of those today. One is called Crabbies, and you may be familiar with those. And I will explain what I'm using in just a minute. And the second one is going to be the New England stuffed clams. Obviously I am from New England, and I'm from north of Boston, out close to Gloucester, where the fishermen came in. And you know, very honestly, I never bought fish in a supermarket until I moved to Florida. I wouldn't think of buying fish in a supermarket. You either went down and got it off the boats, or the fishmonger came around to the house and he had been to the boats and he had a selection of fish. And so when I first moved to Florida and I saw it in the case, I have to tell you, the first thing I wanted to do was smell it. And originally they weren't going to let you smell it. Well, I don't blame them, because you're breathing on their product, but I wouldn't buy fish if it smelled like fish. It had to smell like the ocean. So it took me a while before I'd buy fish. And actually, I tend to buy, if I'm going to have like a chowder or something, I might buy frozen fish as opposed to fresh. But we do now have a fish market here in this town that is manned by people from New England, from Maine actually, and they fly in the product almost every other day. Lobsters, haddock, scallops, clams, oh my gosh, and they are to die for. Not cheap, but very, very, very good. But anyway, I digress. I wanted to get on with the two hors d'oeuvres that I'm going to make today. But before I start, I have a lot of baking to do. I live in a community, and I always bring a little something to the girls that work in the office, along with the general manager and the people who do the accounting, the pro shop. And then I bring some cookies or something down to maintenance for the maintenance workers. So it's a lot of baking involved. But I wanted to show you what I found at the Dollar Tree today. I found these little boxes, and they're called, this is called a reindeer barn, and it has all the reindeers listed on it. There's several of them, but they are so cute, and the top comes off, and it's a place where you can put your cookies. And it's nice because you know, there's a lot of people going to bring snacks and cookies and things to these people, but this is probably enough for a dozen cookies, which I think is plenty for each person. So there's this one that looks like the reindeer barn. Then there's this one. This is Home Sweet Home for the elves. And let's see. Was there another one? No, I think I got 3 of the reindeer barn and 2 of the elves. So that's really cute. I also got some of these goodie bags, because I'll put those inside here to put the cookies in, so they're not just going in a cardboard box. And then for the pro shop, which has quite a few employees in and out of it, and the maintenance people, I just have these trays that I will fill with cookies and bring them down. So that's my project to start after I finish the hors d'oeuvres. So if you hear my oven go off, it is preheating to the cookies, excuse me. Let me get these out of the way. And I'm going to bring the camera down and show you what we're going to make in just a minute. Hold on. I'll be right back. Okay, here I am back down. It's very, very simple, very few ingredients. It's called Crabbies, and you can use crab meat. You can use the artificial crab meat, the 8-ounce package. I'm going to use tuna fish because I like it with the tuna fish. And tuna and cheese goes wonderfully together. I know we've all had tuna melts, or a lot of us. Excuse me 1 minute. I forgot I needed to soften my butter, so I'm going to watch this for a few seconds. Tuna fish, a little bit of mayo, a little bit of garlic powder, and the one ingredient that you may find difficult is this Old English cheese. Okay, let me just check my butter. It's softened now. This Old English cheese, okay? And most grocery stores carry it. Sometimes it can be difficult to find, and this is the only cheese I would recommend you use for these. The other cheeses just don't do the same thing like a Cheese Whiz. This is a little heavier, and it makes a great thing. So Old English. Now I found mine at Winn-Dixie. So basically I'm going to use my food processor, and I'm going to use this. My food processor has 2 bowls. It has a small bowl and a big one. And I'm going to use the small bowl. The other item you're going to need is English muffins. And I just have a package of 6 English muffins here. So I'm going to put my drained tuna fish in. And my oven just went off. My butter. Cheese. Now you can do this by hand. You don't need to use a food processor or a mixer, but this cheese is a little, and this has not been refrigerated, so this is just the way it is. And it calls for just like a tablespoon of mayonnaise, so we're just going to squeeze a little in. And the garlic powder is you add it to your taste, and I'm not going to add too much. I just like a little bit. And that's it. And I'm going to pulse this and hopefully not make too much noise. And there you go. Now, if I can get this little one out, probably can't. You can see. How simple was that? Now, all you're going to do is to take a goodly amount and paint your English muffin. And it depends on how much you put on. You can put on a pretty good amount as to how many muffins you'll actually get out of it. See if I can get this blade out of here. Make it just a little easier to get the don't want to waste any of it. Okay, back to the spreading. This is just easy peasy. Let me switch to a spatula. And this was a regular size pack of English muffins, split in half. And that makes just enough to give them all a really nice coating. That's my clock that goes off every hour. Now, what I'm doing with these is I'm going to freeze them, but I'm going to show you what I'm going to do first because you don't serve them like this. Excuse me, let me just rinse my hands off. Now you can freeze them just like this, or you can do as I'm going to do and cut them in fourths, which is the way you serve them. And that way I freeze them on this tray, and I'm going to get another piece of paper. And I'm just going to cut them in fourths, put them on the cookie sheet, and then what I'm going to do when I finish cutting them all is I'm going to put them in the freezer like this, uncovered, for about an hour and let them freeze. And then I just take a freezer bag and pile them all in the bag. And whenever you need some for your company, you can take out just how many you need. You put them in the oven at 350. If they're frozen, they're probably 12 to 14 minutes. if I were to put them in right now, they would probably be closer to 10 minutes. You really are looking for the cheese to bubble up and begin to get brown on the top. Now, how easy was that? And this is something you can just put in the refrigerator. And when people drop in unexpectedly, you can plop a few in your oven. Get some of this off this knife. There we go. And I'm going to show you this parchment paper that I'm using. Oops, I tipped one right upside down. Well, I tipped two upside down. Stop throwing them on the pan, Donna. And like I said, if you don't like tuna, some people don't like tuna, some people are allergic to tuna, you can use that artificial crab. They also have, in the same case, they call, that artificial crab is called Crab Delights. But they also have one there that's called Lobster Delights, and it's the same thing. It's basically a pollock that has been used to make artificial crab meat and or lobster. But I bet that would have a nice flavor. And just remember, the only thing that is mandatory is that you use that old English cheese. I know you can buy it online, but I think lots of times the grocery stores carry it, and they would carry it in the same area where they would carry that other boxed processed cheese that we all love, that we make our cheese dips out of. One more. Now we had 6 English muffins, so that's 24, and we cut them in half, so that's 48 pieces you have here. And probably I would say 3 would be a good serving size. So there you go. Nobody ever said I was a clean cook. I'm a messy cook. So there you go. There's 48 servings. I'm going to put them in the freezer and let them freeze for an hour, put them in a bag, and I am ready for company. So I'll be back in a minute and we'll start on the next project. See you in a bit. Okay, here we are back for the second one. These are going to be the stuffies, the stuffed clams. This is a New England favorite. It's made several different ways. In some parts of New England, mainly Connecticut area, they would use like a regular stuffing mix. And where I come from, we use a Ritz cracker stuffing, the same as we would use in our stuffed shrimp and that. So I'm going to use a Ritz cracker stuffing here today. Now my clam shells were actually from people who have bought the packages of stuffed clams, and I take their shells and wash them and then use them again. But you have to go through them every time I take them out, because from being used and in the oven several times, I don't know if it'll show up, but you can see perhaps a crack right here in this one. So you don't want to use a cracked shell. I wouldn't want it to break while it was in the oven and somebody, you know, get a bunch of shell with their clams, 'cause that's not the point. All right, so the Ritz crackers, butter, a little garlic powder. I have 2 like half stalks of celery in here, and it calls for a small onion, but my onions are kind of big, so I'm going to use this half of this one, and I'm going to poach these down very fine. You don't want big pieces of onion. This is all about the clam. And so I think you can see that this is really just poached down. I'm going to be cooking those in my whoops, sorry, I hit you, in my cast iron skillet, and I'm going to take you over there in just a minute as soon as we get the rest of this part underway. I have a strainer here, colander here, and I'm going to drain this can of clams. This is 32 ounces, and they are chopped ocean clams. I get these at Sam's Club, and I use these also when I make my clam chowder. So I'm going to try to do this without spilling it all over the counter, which I didn't manage to do. Oh my goodness, there we go. Well, that was a regular mess. See if I can pick this up. Now, the clam juice is by no means going to get thrown away. That is going to be put in a container and put in the freezer, because it would be perfect for making, like if you're going to do a fish chowder or a clam chowder. Let me just put a towel down here, because I did get it on the floor. And that'll just keep me from going ass over tea kettle on the floor. So, they put a lot of clam juice in there. Like I said, nobody ever accused me of being a neat cook. Just a good one. Now I have a half a stick of butter in my pan. And the reason I'm not bringing you over there quite yet is because I want to show you the clams. You can see that there are some pretty big pieces of clams, and you'd probably think, oh, that's great, they'll taste nice and clammy. But when they get to be this big, those are probably quahogs, and you really need to chop them small, or they're like chewing rubber bands. So I'm going to dump this onion and celery, after I move you again, into the pan. And I don't have to clean the bowl because everything's going in the same place. Put this over here. And I'm going to just pulse these a little bit. And obviously I should put that in first. Okay, that's good. And now you can see that they are all small, and then they'll mix nicely. Okay, I'm done pretty much over here. I'm going to turn you around to the other side. Hold on, and we'll be right there. Okay, here I am. And I had a half a stick of butter that I melted. And I'm just going to sweat off the onion and the celery, because of course it will put off some water. I'm not really trying to brown it. Just trying to get the liquids out of them. And I wanted to show you something. I did put a couple of these in the oven so that you could see, and I'll do a taste test. Delicious. I didn't really have to show you what they look like. I really wanted a taste test. I'm going to sprinkle just a little bit of garlic. Because folks, this is all about the clams and we don't want to distort the flavor too much. Alright, I'm going to add all of these clams in. Big piece of celery there I want to get out. I don't know how much I will have, if I'll have enough to fill all those shells or not. We'll fill whatever shells we can fill. If you have left over, this is great to throw in a couple of shrimp. Make a couple of big stuffed shrimp stuffed with clams. It'd be really nice. I have my oven on a little bit like medium high right now. Not my oven, my pan, excuse me. And the other thing I'm going to add, forgot to get out, was just a little bit of Worcestershire sauce. Just kind of dotting it around. Now, you can pepper this, and I will, but I would not add salt at this point because the clams are salty. The Ritz crackers are salty, and you don't want it to be so salty that they're no longer edible. You can always add salt after they're cooked. Santa Claus is going to bring me a new automated pepper mill. I had one for several years and it finally just died. So let's add some Ritz crackers. Now it says to, you want to do them with your hands because you don't want them pulverized. Now that was about a half a stack. So I'm going to open another stack because it takes a full stack. Okay, let's see what we've got here. Now the next thing we're going to add, because I thought I had already done it, is melted butter. So we'll just stir this around while that's melting. This is not diet friendly, even though it's seafood, with the Ritz crackers and the melted butter. Turn that down. And I'm just going to add a few more crackers. Okay, while that's melting, I'm going to rinse off my hands. Oh my, oh my. And I will do the same with these. I will put them all in their shells and I will put them in the refrigerator, in the freezer, let them freeze, and then I'll put them in a bag. And that's it. My oven, my burner I'm going to turn off. And I'll move my shells over here. Now, if you don't have shells, you can do this in a casserole dish. And just serve it maybe with some vegetables, or serve it on some crackers. Now these will have to sit out for a little bit. Now some of these big ones, this is like a 1 clam serving. These will have to cool, obviously, before I can put them in the freezer. But don't be afraid to stack them up. This is called stuffed clams. Now, if you were making these and you're in Rhode Island, you might be putting in some chorizo or some other kind of Portuguese sausage. If you do that, you just want to take it out of its casing, fry it off, and then add it to the mixture. So this was a 32-ounce can of clams, 1 big or 2 small stalks of celery, and a stick and a half of butter, half of either 1 small onion or half of a large onion. I'm not going to quite have enough, but that's all right. Okay, the celery, the onion, you're going to just make that chop very fine and put it in the fry pan with half a stick of butter. Fry it up. Drain the clams and put those in. Mix it around with about a sleeve and a half of Ritz crackers. Add some seasonings to your choice. You can add garlic, salt, not salt, garlic. I added a little bit of Worcestershire sauce. And then mix it around. Add some melted butter. Now, if you want them to be so they will stick together, I don't want to put this on that burner because it's been hot, but I want to get it close enough so you can see. Hold on, I'll back you up a little bit. There you go. So you can see how they came out when they're stuffed. I will let these cool on the tray and I will put them in the freezer. They will go in a 350-degree oven for about 15 minutes or until heated through, you can tell. They actually can go in the microwave to reheat because basically everything here is pretty much cooked. But it doesn't take much to do them in the microwave either. So there you go. 2 hors d'oeuvres. Now all we need is company, right? Well, not tonight. I have cookies to make. So thanks for stopping by. And I'm going to move you up and we'll say, move you up and move you around. Make it sick. There we go. So thanks for stopping by and seeing our little hors d'oeuvre station here. I think you will enjoy making these, especially the English muffin ones. Anybody can make those. If you're not into clams, you might not want to make the stuffed clams, but they are so good. So I will be back again tomorrow probably with the tour of my Christmas decorations. And so hopefully everybody has a great afternoon. I'm going to go put this up now so you get a chance to see it. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.